got my wine.
I'm so glad we are back. I have mine too, just to be clear. We're back. And today we're going to talk about, I think last week left us a little somewhat deflated, thinking through how we were kind of excited about new TV coming. So then it sparked a conversation about our favorite TV characters of all time. So we're going down that rabbit hole today because it's fun to reminisce. So if we're left deflated by the new characters, at least we've got the old ones to bank on. Here are the disclaimers I'm going to offer as to our choices. One, we went 1990s and later. So for all of you that are like, where are the Golden Girls and J.R. Ewing and all the other wonderful stars of the 60s through 80s? They're not on this list. Number two, no animated characters need apply because they're not actually real human beings. Okay. And number three, much like Andy Samberg's opening number, we cannot watch every television show ever made. So this is really just reflective of the ones we like.
I'm going to start with a male character that kind of brought us together, and that is Joey Tribbiani. I don't know why I always say Tribbiani like that. It's not like he says it like that. It's hard to pick up somebody from Friends, to be totally honest, as we both know when we were asked in our interviews at WB18, WKCF in good old Orlando, Florida. Because I do really like all of the characters. They all obviously bring something to the table, but you just can't have that show without Joey, even though a show with just Joey is not good. But on the show of Friends, you can't do it without Joey.
Bummer.
So, how you doing?
How you doing? Hey, Joey doesn't share fries. He doesn't share any food for that matter.
Doesn't share. Yeah, Joey doesn't share food.
No. My first one I'm going with is Coach Eric Taylor from Friday Night Lights. Good old Kyle Chandler. I am late to the Friday Night Lights fandom, having only watched it this year, many years after it went off. And I think it's so fresh in the brain and just so irreplaceable. And the show to me was really, I think the tone was struck by him. I just love him. And I have to say, I was not a huge Kyle Chandler fan before. I did see him in the one guest spot.
It's like Early Edition?
I was never an early edition watcher, but didn't like him when he was on Twin Peaks or when he was in Pure Country. Didn't like him.
Oh, well, he's horrible in Pure Country.
Well, that's where he was in my head. So, but then in 2006, I want to say, when Grey's Anatomy was actually still good, he was on this, I don't remember if you remember, he was in this guest spot on there where he played like a bomb diffuser, somebody working for the FBI or something. And it was like the whole episode was him and Sandra Oh in the operating room with her hand in there. Maybe it was Meredith. I don't remember. Anyways, he was so good on that. And I kept thinking, where the heck has he been? I wish he'd be on something. And then, boom, I think what happened was Peter Berg was associated with that show at the same time. He was making Friday Night Lights, the movie. He'd made it. He was trying to make the TV show. And like, hi, thank you for that. So then we got Coach Taylor. I just loved him. I thought he was so stoic and rigid, but he had a lot of heart, and he never broke from that. And I thought it would have been really easy for him to big old pile of goo, and he never was. He was always still so kind of rigid, and I don't know.
You know who else had a lot of heart on that show?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Tim Riggins.
I know.
Riggins.
We should drink to Tim Riggins. He would want us to.
Riggins.
Texas forever, Riggs.
All right. Texas forever. I'm going to go with early 90s, which really launched in the late 80s, but I'm counting it. And that is Uncle Jesse, because we both love the Uncle Jesse. He's got to be on the list.
I love it.
I love me some Have Mercy, Uncle Jesse. Nothing more needs to be said.
No, I agree. Fantastic. Next one. I'll go back to your time frame. I like your time zone. Or your era. What decade? Decade. I'm going Dr. Doug Ross from ER. Mr. George Clooney.
Yeah.
Who was on seasons 1 through 5 before he figured out, like, maybe I might be poised for movie stardom, and see you guys later. I just loved him. I think what I loved, it was so funny to me, if they had made him like a radiologist that was a womanizer, or just some regular, I don't know, other specialized professional practitioner or whatever, it wouldn't have been as good. But the fact that he was like this womanizing guy that was a pediatrician, like really, but it worked. It really worked. Because as skeezy as he might have been on occasion with the ladies, he was just a big old softy with the kids, and I thought he was so good, even with the Caesar cut. I'll give him a pass on that.
Well, it was better than the mullet from Facts of Life.
True, true.
And it was better than Uncle Jesse's mullet.
And it was better than Pacey Witter's Caesar, so we're good.
Exactly. All right.
Come full circle.
Bringing it full circle. Okay, Pacey Witter is not my next choice, but that would have been pretty awesome if it was, and I do love me some Pacey Witter. I am going to go with your ER theme in a very weird way, wormholey way, and go with the doctor. You know, there's a lot of controversy over who is the favorite doctor. My choice is not the most popular choice. I am a fan of the 11th Doctor. Most people are fans of the 10th, David Tennant. But I like the 11th. I like the way Matt played it real quirky, and I like his little bow tie, and I liked Amy Pond, the dynamic with her. So that was my favorite, was the 11th. But the whole theory of the Doctor and really the TARDIS itself could be a character on this list. Anyway, I'm a late comer to Doctor Who, like you were talking about Friday Night Lights. I only started watching Doctor Who like 3 years ago, and I've really only seen the whole section of the 11th Doctor, which is probably why he's my favorite. Yeah. I've gone back and watched some of the 10th. I still enjoy them, and I haven't watched it all with the 12th yet. And then I have not seen any of the older Doctors. So I know that show goes way back, so it's pre-90s, but because I'm picking in one of the most recent Doctors, I feel like it qualifies.
Found a loophole. I like it. I like it.
Exactly.
You found a loophole. My friend Molly is going to be super excited by your choice. I just know it. So I'm going, you mentioned Pacey Witter, which would have been, I guess, a really suitable kind of sidekick to the main character choice, but I'm going with the OC Seth Cohen. Because I love him. I don't know. I was not terribly familiar with Adam Brody before this. Maybe that's because there was no reason to be, but I just think he really made this his own, and I haven't seen him in a lot since then, so to me, he's forever Seth Cohen. And I just feel like he was the first kind of sidekick, nerdy best friend character that made nerdy likable. Like, he wasn't apologetic about it. He wasn't embarrassed about it. He was just like, I am who I am. These are my choices. I like this music. I like these comic books. I've got my Captain Oates, like the whole thing. So I just thought, hey, I don't know, he endeared himself to me very quickly, and I am a big Seth Cohen fan.
All right, good choice, good choice. I mean, anybody who gives us Chris McCaw is a winner in my book.
Amen. And shalom.
Yeah, isn't today like the first day of Yom Kippur?
Yeah.
All right. All right, we're with it.
Yeah.
Pop culture. That's more than pop culture savvy. That's
worldly.
Culturally. Yeah. All right, I'm going to take it into some more newer characters. I've got 2 coming up, and I am going to start with, because we just came out of the Emmys. The Emmys were this weekend, and this person won and seemed genuinely shocked that he won, even though he's won before, and he was the only person from that show that had won anything, I think, up until these Emmys. And that is Peter Dinklage as Tyrion Lannister. I've been a fan of Peter Dinklage's for a while. I think we all kind of, nobody really knew his name, right? Before this, you knew him as a little person, I guess, because he was just cast so often in things, and he was the angry elf, which is amazing in Elf. But the reason that I fell in love with Peter Dinklage was an episode of Entourage. I think it was like the first season, where he's like arguing, I think, with Eric at a party, or he like says something, and Eric's like, yeah, I get it, Peter, you're the biggest man in Hollywood. And for some reason, I just thought that was hilarious, because he was being angry. Yep. Like, he was playing this angry role, and I have a feeling that Peter Dinklage is not angry at all in real life. In fact, I went to a Game of Thrones panel in LA, and, as the token American on the panel, he was absolutely hilarious with, like, those dry humor, like, very professional and well-behaved Brits. It was really
Thank God for him, then.
Yeah, exactly. So, anyway, and I also would like to say, I've not read the books, but I know a little bit about the books, and I'm very, very, very happy that Tyrion Lannister has his nose, because I think it would be quite difficult to watch that show if he had to be noseless every week. And he would not be quite such a badass if he was missing his nose. So,
Noted. Yeah, I
no,
have a I
noted.
no notes. Oh wow. I want to tell you my Peter Dinklage story. When I was working at
Yes,
NBC, when he was in The Station Agent, that was his big, I think, notable film debut, where he was got some Academy, or not Academy, but just some critics and some award attention. And he came into our office for a meeting, and the man exudes sex. I can't even explain. Like, he is so he's just is so confident in himself, and he just has this charisma, and he was just so dreamy. Just his presence, the way he carries himself, the way he sat there, kind of the one-liners that you're saying as he interacted with us. I may or may not have had a questionable dream after that.
well, then I guess he's definitely well cast.
I am going to go with a character from Lost. I'm not going with one of the real majors. I'm going with Ben Linus, the villain. And here's
Okay.
why. Because he was so good on the show. He terrified me from start to finish. And when Michael Emerson first came on the show, he was like, I don't know, probably a forgettable guest character as one of the other plane crash survivors, and he just kind of appeared here and there, and then he went away, and then he kind of came back, and he changed personas on the show. He was, I think, Henry Gale or something, and then all of a sudden he was Ben Linus, and then I don't know, because I feel like J.J. Abrams and the other guy, Damon Lindelof, had in mind what they were going to do from the get-go, but I also kind of feel like Michael Emerson came on, he was so good that they rerouted how they were going to script him in, because all of a sudden he became the main focus of the show from like seasons 4 on, and he was just so like maniacal, just a psychopath, not like terrifying in a jump out at you type way or this big menacing. He was just kind of like scary to me in the way that like Steve Buscemi is scary on occasion, like that kind of way.
Okay.
So that's been my favorite villain of recent shows.
I guess I didn't have any villains, huh? Well, I have a one to grow on villain at the end, but
Yes,
um,
you do. I feel
my final choice is from an extremely popular show that's one of my faves, and that is Daryl Dixon from The Walking Dead,
mm,
who in the beginning you kind of felt like he might be a bad guy. He's a little rough around the edges, but he's, a softie, of course, in the end. And I think, just like we talked about with Peter Dinklage, I think that, what's the actor's name that plays Daryl?
Norman Reedus.
Yeah, Norman Reedus. You see him in interviews and you see him at panels and at Comic Con, and he just has such a great personality, and he's really funny, and he's really he's like socially active and hip and keen on pop culture, and I think that just adds to it. The more you kind of get into his persona, it kind of bleeds over into the show, which I
Yeah.
think a lot of the people that we put on our list, right, are people that we would like in real life also. Maybe they're not exactly like their character, but they definitely have some personality traits that have bled into the role, which is why they're so good at their roles, which
Yeah.
is why we would both be amazing in any kind of like sassy female
Eh,
role. Right? We're
I
like,
don't I don't know if I would.
oh yeah, I would.
Yeah,
Okay,
you
maybe
would
it's
for sure.
speaking for myself. So I'm gonna end with some crossbow slinging Daryl Dixon.
I love it. Our my friends at Walker Stalker Con will find this very awesome that you've included it. I'm ending on a character that I'm not sure I want to be like, but God, is he awesome. I'm going with Walter White. I'm going with Breaking Bad's Bryan Cranston. Holy, I don't even know what there is to say. He's like the coolest, slickest character that equal parts scared me, entertained me, fascinated me. I read somewhere that Vince Gilligan, the creator, kind of wrote the role with Bryan Cranston in mind. And then the people at AMC were like, no, that's the guy from Malcolm in the Middle. I don't think that works. And so they offered it to John Cusack and to Matthew Broderick. Like, can you imagine that?
No.
And they declined it, so then the AMC people were like, fine, give it to Bryan Cranston. And now, hello. Like, I can't even remember the Malcolm in the Middle anymore. He's so Walter White, Heisenberg to me. So, anyways, I also thought it was very cool that at the end you're left with this sense of like, was he evil from the get go? he was the nerdy chemistry teacher, or did he overdo this whole like transformation to evil towards the end, or was it always in him? I just like that he played it so well that you're left with that in your head. So I am all for Walter White.
You know who always had evil in him? It's my one to grow on choice that couldn't really go in because of our like newer shows, and technically he's been on for a long time, even though he's on now, and that is Stefano Demira.
Dun dun dun.
Stefano. I love me some Stefano Tamira, and I say Stefano like that because when I was in college, Jaws 2 came on randomly on like WGN, and I
Yeah,
saw him in it and started screaming Stefano. So anyway, that is my one to grow on pick, and
that's
I
a
think
good
it's
one to
time
end
for
on.
us to call it quits on this one and move on to the ladies.